Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how CEOs, founders, and senior executives sell their ideas, point of view, and personal brand to the people who matter most. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want to build market eminence, amplify your influence, and attract high-value prospects, investors, partners, talent, and media opportunities with less chasing and more confidence. Let's go. He's back. That's right. One of my favorite guests on my least favorite topic, because I'm an idiot. That's why. And I like to say my least favorite topic is networking, but networking ain't networking when you're talking to my friend Devin Sizemore. So Devin, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back. Looking forward to this conversation.
So for all of the entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, trainers, founders, salespeople that have just been beaten over the head with old school networking, your system and your methodology is really about connections and connecting. To the layperson, oh, that sounds like networking. I don't like networking. I'm not good at networking. Networking has never paid off for me. What do you say to your clients and your audiences when they come to you initially with that negative slant on networking?
Yeah, two things. First, our system will let you build your business without targeting clients. Build your business without targeting clients. So that takes the pressure off having to be a salesman or saleswoman and be out there and feel slimy. And second, you probably actually don't need to meet more people. You need to nurture the people you already know. And so, yes, there are strategies to build new network and get new connections, but I would guarantee everybody listening here has untapped potential inside their current network that if they just tapped into that, there's hidden revenue, there's hidden partnerships, there's hidden opportunities. So those are my two kind of notes and disclaimers that should make it start to feel different instantly.
I totally sense all of our listeners and viewers' shoulders just relaxing when you said that we're not going after prospects, and we don't need to be in hardcore sales mode. And we also don't need to be spending the rest of our lives shaking new hands and kissing new babies. For folks that were not listening in on our first episode, I would love to backtrack for just 30 seconds and give us a quick sketch of your professional journey that brought you to the work that you're doing today.
Yeah, so Devin Sizemore, I always start with I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I've owned a digital marketing agency, a cat cafe, a manufacturing company, a co-working space, did a stint in HR. I've worked with over 600 companies to help them grow, scale, and optimize their companies. 7 years ago, I committed to what we're talking about today, which is strategically building networks to generate consistent and predictable inbound connections. And I'm able to pull from a lot of different industries, a lot of different company sizes in order to help you implement a system that works for you.
I want to go back to connection building because that's obviously the core of our topic today. But specifically, when people think about this, they say, okay, I've got my Rolodex, virtual Rolodex. Kids, you can look that up on Wikipedia if you're not sure what the hell I'm talking about. I've got my contact list. I've got my LinkedIn connections. I've got people that I know in 3D in real life. And I am going to start a connection activation campaign. And there's one of two things that people are thinking. One is the gimme, gimme, gimme mindset. I'm gonna connect with Devin, and my primary goal in connecting with Devin is how can Devin help me? And it's a taker mindset instead of a giver mindset. Also, and this is all one big question, you might go in totally in the spirit of what Devin teaches and preaches and coaches on, which is give first. But then you're thinking, well, wait a second, I've done a lot of give first before and nothing has come back to me. So now I'm gun shy that I can be as generous and wonderful and giving, but at the end of the day, do I really benefit? So talk about taking versus giving and what your whole philosophical teaching is around how that works in real life.
Oh, this is fun. And I love the Rolodex because I still use that language too. And I might just be on the cusp of people who still remember.
Totally.
So primary goal, I want to hit that first. When I'm meeting with someone, my primary goal is the 3 E's. I want to get to know the person or reconnect with them in a way that allows me to explain what they do clearly. So I have to understand their service offering and who they serve, edify them. So I need to know enough to justify to the person I'm connecting him to, hey, David's an absolute rock star and here's why. So I need to understand you as a person, your integrity and credibility. And then I need to be able to endorse. So edify, endorse, and explain are the 3 E's. That's what we're trying to accomplish in a meeting. And so that's what changes the meeting, right? We're not there to sell and position. We're there to connect. Now, speaking to the give first mentality, I hear that all the time. Look, I've done this before. I've had the meetings. I make the connections. No one ever reciprocates. Great. Typically, the main issue is what you're asking for and what your perception of who you are connecting them to is. And so we have to shift your ask. What I mean by that is if I say, David, who do you want to connect with? Most people are going to default to their ideal client profile. This is my ideal client. That's who I want to connect with. But that's great. So I have a huge database. And what you want me to do is narrow my database down to these few ideal prospects. And then you want me to connect them to you so that you can sell to them. There's so much friction in the statements I just made. Instead, if we shift our ask to people that have access to our clients, to educational opportunities where our clients gather, all of these other things, it eliminates all the barriers. And so now if I say, hey, David, I'd love to meet mastermind hosts so we can collaborate and create amazing content together, you can clearly go into your network and be like, oh, I know a few hosts. And now you clearly know why I want you to connect me. And there's no sale involved. We are connecting to collaborate. So if you're giving, which is great, and you figured out how to make connections to other people, but you're not receiving, it's probably because you're hoping to only get connected to prospects. We don't talk about referrals. We don't talk about prospects. We talk about strategic network building through connections.
So that is a huge and very important distinction. For folks that are listening, I'm just kind of channeling their mind chatter. They say, well, Devin, at some point, a connection of a connection of a connection is going to be a prospect, right? They are going to be a live, in market, ready to buy, looking for the solution that I provide kind of person. Isn't it like the further down the chain that is, don't my chances of actually monetizing these connections go down? And by the way, I'm gonna spoil the answer here, possibly. One of my favorite Seth Godin quotes is, the sooner you ask someone for money, the less you will get. So sit on that for a moment. As we listen to Devin's answer, what do you say to people that are like, dude, I don't have time for the connection of a connection of a connection of a connection to finally introduce me to a live one? How do I shorten this up? Talk about patience, talk about kind of nurturing, talk about the long-term, lifelong value of this.
Yeah, I have this slide in my presentation, and I start with this connection I received to Jeff. Jeff and I were connected. We had a meeting. Now, what's interesting about my meeting with Jeff is it was one of those meetings where you're like, this is not aligned. Jeff is a taker. This is bizarre. I don't like this meeting. That's all the things going through my head. Now, I still conducted the meeting exactly how I teach. What are you doing? Who do you serve? How'd you get here? Where are you going? What's in the way? How can I help? That's the framework for the conversation. I still followed up after the meeting and provided resources, made 3 connections, followed up 3 weeks later about the connections made, followed up to nurture, still did the best practices, even though the meeting was meh. And since that follow-up, I've never talked to Jeff again. He's never replied to anything, never responded. What's interesting, though, is he did connect me to one person. He made one connection. That connection journey I put on the slide, 6 connection later, leads to a $30,000 prospect or client, paid $30K in the bank. Great. Along the way, over 30 additional connections, 8 podcasts, 1 stage, 2 integrated offers, all from that connection journey. And it all started from one misaligned meeting that I treated properly, and I followed up and nurtured I made the connections. I added value. I followed the process. I share that because, again, so often in sales and marketing, we're so focused on finding prospects and generating revenue. Yes, please do that. We all need to make money. That is the lifeblood of business. But you're missing the stages, the strategic partnerships, the content creation opportunities, the vendors that maybe you need for your own business. You're missing all of these other things. Forget the even friendships. There's friendships along the way too. Like there's people involved here. You've got to stop putting so much pressure on yourself to close the deal. What will happen is people will get to know you. You'll build real relationships. They'll trust you. And the referrals will show up. Now, the connections is what we're chasing because that's predictable and scalable and duplicatable. But I want you to hear me. The referrals start to show up. People start to tee you up and go, you got to talk to Devin. He's the man. He's going to do this, this, and this for you. And that drops in. Yes, please sell to them. Right? Disregard everything I've said. Get them into a discovery meeting, close them, make money, right? But you've got to look at the bigger picture and stop being so focused on the prospect.
Hold on. This one is so good, even I'm taking notes. Listen, are you a CEO, founder, or corporate executive ready to fix your market obscurity problem and gain the market eminence you know you and your company deserve? Cool. Book your private Market Eminence Roadmap call with me, and let's see what might be possible for you. The link is simple. doitmarketing.com/call. See you over there. Now, I gotta get back to taking more notes. Talk to me a little bit about how you do this with your clients. So, for example, what are the investable opportunities in Devin world? What are the different levels of service from kind of training, speaking, coaching, mentorship? How does it all work?
Yeah, so I invite everyone to hang out in our school community, ACES Connection Group. It's free. We have 3 pillars in there. So my whole masterclass on this with all the templates, the emails, the GPTs, everything you need to implement is in there. It's free. It's accessible. We also do expert interviews, which you're one of and featured in there along some other amazing people. And then we do connection blitz meetings where you can plug in and expand your network with new people on every meeting. So all of that is the free, come hang out with us. Let me lead with value. Yeah. From there, you kind of have 2 paths. If you need help implementing the system or strategizing around your business, my consulting approach is 2-hour sessions. Come in with challenges, lead with clarity. That's how I do all of my consulting. No long-term commitments. Let's drive value today as fast as we can. And then the majority of people I work with become trusted brand partners. And that's where I come alongside your brand for 12 months to strategically build relationships with you. And so I will make connections. I'm meeting 5,000 plus new people a year. And with those people, I will weed them out to align you with the ones that are strategic, the ones that are prospective clients, the ones that are podcast stages, opportunities for you, so that we can accelerate your network growth. So that's how I do it. I love doing what we're doing now. And so I do a lot of speaking, and I love coming alongside mastermind hosts and doing education in their group, because if we can help your community grow and thrive, typically that aligns really well with whatever you're trying to help your community do.
This whole idea of tapping into trusted private communities that you are so masterful at, and you deliver incredible value to every single one that you take part in. People are listening going, man, that would be a great strategy. So Devin has a community of paying clients. David has a community of paying clients. What would it be worth to get in front of Devin's community, David's community, Bob's community, Karen's community? And if I could just spread these seeds, right, one to many, value creation, not with a sales offer, but with genuine education, value, action steps, tactical implementation they can use and benefit from, some of those people will be like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. I need to follow up with David. I need to follow up with Devin. I need to see how I can join that program or get his smarts on my team. How do you start that? Like, let's say someone's listening. They've had a huge aha light bulb moment just in the last 3 minutes of us talking about this. They say, I know a couple of people who facilitate masterminds or coaching communities. How do I make the ask? I mean, it's like maybe they've never thought of putting themselves in front of someone else's trusted private audience. that seems like a really big ask and a really big risk for the mastermind owner and the mastermind community facilitator. How do you make that first ask?
Let's reverse this. So I want to start with the end in mind and then get to your question. So I find people fail first because they have the wrong follow-up call to action sequence at the end of whatever their presentation is going to look and feel like. You've got to have a book, a free offer, a place where people can gather more content, you can capture their data, a system for connecting with them on LinkedIn, a system for getting them into your CRM, a system for you following up and nurturing. If you don't have a non-money spending ask and a way to capture data and move them and nurture them, you've got to get that done first. Otherwise, the presenting is going to be an activity that doesn't have any results. So start with the end in mind. Next, we've had to think about the presentation, and this is probably your world and area of expertise, but often people are so focused on presenting in an ego-driven way. We've all seen these speakers, right? Where they're positioning for a pitch and everything is like a teaser and it's all ego and how I'm amazing and case studies and stories. Great. But in this environment, you have to pack as much value, clear action items, clear steps, give it all away, because that's what's going to make the mastermind host confident in bringing you in. Look, I'm here to pour so much value into your group that it's a no-brainer that I need to come. Now, in order, if this is your first one, for you to make that a true statement, you've got to create content. So you've got to either find a friend that'll get you in so you can get a recording and get a snippet. You've got to start creating some social content where you're just doing talking head videos. Start showing the world, look, I'm here to serve and here to get value and here to give education. Once you do the first one, you're going to get testimonials. You can use that. Now, if you've done those things and you're like, yes, I can do value presentations. I have a clear call to action that's not going to cost them money unless it's my book. Right. And now I'm going to ask my friend. What I would recommend is you get them on a meeting. You have the conversation following the connection meeting flow. Hey, David, let's catch up. What are you doing and who are you serving? How'd you get here? Give me the backstory again. Remind me. I probably don't remember it all. Where are you going? Like, what's your big vision? What's in your way? And how can I help you? Now, from there, what's going to happen? David's going to ask me some questions. He's going to go, Devin, yeah, tell me some of the same stuff. And at some point, he's going to go, who can I connect with? And this is where we sell behind the person in front of us. So here's our masterclass in sales. And I use this all the time to close people. And this is how I close mastermind hosts. Hey, David, do you know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for mastermind hosts typically. And I want to reflect whatever your community looks like. They have high paying, engaged customers. They do this. They're looking to accelerate their authority and growth, whatever mirrors the person in front of you. And I would say that's the kind of person I'm looking for, because what I can do is come into the group and drop my system on them so they can implement it, drive more revenue, see instant results, which aligns with what you were trying to accomplish or that person trying to accomplish in the mastermind group. And then what happens is David gets there and his ego starts to show up and goes, wait a second, that's me. Well, would you come speak at my group? And that's typically how it happens. We want the other person to ask us. So that sell behind method is the language I use, and it happens all the time. And that's how I close people. You know, I'm looking for these mastermind hosts, and then typically they're like, well, didn't you just listen to everything I said? I'm a mastermind host.
Right.
So there's a bunch of tips, knowledge, and stuff around that topic. Hopefully there's a nugget in there for everybody.
Yes. Well, and that's the other thing. So let's take that and move it into the example of the usual connection calls. When you're answering these questions, right? Who would you like to meet? Well, I would really love to meet people who have an audience of or who have a connection with. And the person goes, oh my God, that's me. So I'm not a direct prospect for you, but I do have a connection with. I do know meeting planners, conference producers, mastermind hosts, podcast hosts. And it's like, well, I could give you 3 podcast hosts right now that would love to have you on the show. Would that be helpful, Devin? And Devin goes, yes, it would. Now, once in a while, I'm guessing, when you talk about what you do and who you do it for and so forth, either in that conversation or soon after, the person goes, well, actually, you know, I'd like to have a chat with you. This might be something that I could use. I mean, am I crazy, or is this something that maybe I could benefit from? And then they kind of raise their hand and go, I'd like to talk to you about the stuff that you weren't selling it to me. You weren't pitching it to me. You were saying, I help people do XYZ. My ask is, who do you know that has an audience of XYZ? And they go, well, I'm actually in that audience, right? I'm not the facilitator. I'm not the connection, but I might be the end user. How do you cross that bridge delicately where it doesn't look like a bait and switch?
Yeah. So exactly what you explained is our whole sales process. So no cold outreach. Never do I directly ask. I always wait for the other person to ask me because it's patience and positioning and relationship building. And so a quote, I'd recommend you put on your monitor, put somewhere you can see every day. Everybody wants to buy. Nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold. So that's the core of this system. We teach it all the time. What happens is when they lean in and they have that conversation and David says, Devin, you know what? Either, yes, I want you to come speak to my group, or, you know what? Like, would I be a fit for that program? Or am I mishearing that maybe you could help me? I always flip it to questions. Hey, David, I'm not sure if you're a fit. Would you mind if I ask you a few questions? You're like, sure, great. Let me just get clarity. Who are you targeting? Where are you at today? Where were you going? What's your revenue growth potential? What's the value of a new client? So I'm trying to attach revenue. I'm trying to attract growth predictions, all the things that are relevant to the service I provide, so that at the end I can say, yeah, so the average value of a client's 15 grand. You want to add another dozen clients this year. You have some coming in. Your ability to close is there. You have some urgency because you have a cohort or mastermind you're getting ready to launch. So there's a time urgency. Yes, it feels like I could be successful helping you. So here's a link. It's our Trusted Brand program. It's very simple. We sell one thing. Here it is. If you want me to go over it now, I'm happy to do that, or you can digest it. We can follow up. Again, I always give them the option to say, no, let's talk about it now, or yeah, send me the stuff. Because again, I'm not trying to chase the close today. Now, if you continue to push and go, sign me up, great, we'll sign you up. And we close people all the time in that moment. Yeah. So again, ask the questions back and confirm the alignment before you really get into selling the benefits and the cost and all the other stuff.
I love that so much because every step and every tactical move that you're recommending and that you write about and teach about and coach about, it's zero pressure. In fact, it's negative pressure, meaning it's a vacuum, right? It pulls people in. You're not pushing, you're not striving, you're not pitching during any of this. You're asking, you're sharing, you're inviting. And so, and I talk about this in the Do It Selling book, that what people that hate sales. I'm like, okay, so let's say you hate sales. How do you feel about helping people? Oh, I feel great about that. How do you feel about asking people genuine curiosity-based questions? Oh, I love that. How do you feel about inviting people to cool things that might benefit them? Events, webinars, downloads. Oh, I love inviting people. It's like, well, what if you just did that and you took out the pushy, pitchy, striving, salesy part? And then people go, well, that's not possible because I've had sales training. That's not possible because I listen to XYZ guru on YouTube that talks about high pressure closing questions, false urgency, false scarcity, BS, and whatever. And then my final question, Devin, is like, well, okay, so you're following this crazy ass sales guru. How has that approach been working for you? Oh, I absolutely hate it. Bingo, right? Bingo. So when you said you have to have an offer, you have to have some sort of way to capture their engagement, capture their contact info. One of the ways that you do this at scale and in the large world is through your book, which is a fantastic book called Connection Expansion. And I love the subtitle of your book also. You are one connection away from massive success in your life and business. And that is absolutely the truth. Tell us a little bit about your journey writing the book, and give us also a snapshot of Devin before the book came out and was an asset for you, and now Devin after the book came out and is an asset for you.
I call writing the book my kind of coming home story. So I do have a journalism and English degree. I have a passion for writing. Like, I love the written word. I love storytelling, which has laid the foundation for my curiosity and journalistic approach in meeting people, right? So it definitely fuels that. But what I found in writing a book is you've got to partner with someone who can get you out of your own way. Because as an expert, you have so much that you can pack into a book, but you need the right publishing partner to help you understand how deep to go, how to frame it in a way that's going to do what you want. There are totally different ways to write books depending on if you're going to big box, if you're using it for conversions, if you're doing it for referral partners, if you're doing a narrative story. There are definitely different paths, and there's no one right fit, right? It depends on what you're going to use it for. For me, a very quick, easy to digest, high value, persuasive book with clear calls to action. That's what I was chasing. And so I did partner with $1 Million Author on the book. It was a brilliant process, but I share that because I had written a manuscript 75 times before then. And it was in draft, and it was here, and it was there, and there was this training, and there was that. As I digested the one-page outline and the audience audit to really figure out who I'm writing to and what journey I want to take them on, it was so easy. It was so clear because I knew exactly what the framing for the book had to be. From the second I committed and I went through their process, the day I had my book in hand was 45 days. And so it doesn't have to be a 3 or 4 year journey. In fact, I think some people die on that mountain. They're climbing Everest is holding the book in the air. No. That's you at the bottom of the mountain because now you have this amazing tool that you then can use. And so since publishing, I've booked more stages. I've been on podcasts that like most people can't get on and I get invited to. I just had 2 this week where I got a text message from one going, dude, I read your book. You got to come on the podcast. Okay, great. Love that. Yeah. And like he's charging money for his podcast. And all of a sudden I'm on his podcast, right? Oh, by the way, I did make some connections that I've nurtured and I add value to his group and there's some other stuff. Yeah. But the book opened that. I'm also working on a really huge deal. So if you guys are a big consultants, I'm working on a really big 6-figure consulting deal. And part of their thing is getting 400 copies of the book into their sales team's hands and their executives team's hands so that it becomes the tool and the foundation. So I can't rave enough about having a book. Obviously, you're a fan too. I know you're working on a new one coming out soon as well. So that's my journey. You've got to have a book.
When you say that you get the book into as many hands as possible, you have this really cool strategy. I'm not sure what the number is. If you want to share, you can share, but you have given away many, many, many hundreds, maybe even thousands of copies of your book, both hard copy at events and then maybe digitally in some way, shape, or form. When you hand someone a book at an event, or you have you're speaking and then you're signing books at the table, you're not capturing their contact info, and you're hoping that the book is basically a virtual sales ambassador. And the way that the book is written and then the calls to action, like you said, inside the book, do drive people to bonus content, additional material, etc. It is I think, such a beautiful act of faith that I'm going to give you this book. And you are going to read this book, some or all. You're going to flip through. You're going to go, wow. You are going to take action perhaps a little bit, get some initial results, which you can totally do by reading the book. And then you're like, I want more of this. And I just had some beginner's luck and I just made a couple connections and it's paid off like crazy. Imagine if I could do this every month. Imagine if I could do this every week. Imagine if I could do this every day. I'm going to get back in touch with Devin and I'm going to see how he can help me more formally. That's the leap of faith. Talk about the book giveaway strategy and what else goes into it just as far as karma.
Yeah, so the first thing, and I want to pull the curtain back for those who haven't written a book, and you can validate this as well. This was an aha moment for me, and I don't think in the publishing world we talk about this enough. When you go buy a book, it has a value, 15, 20, 25 bucks, right? You put the value on if it's paperback or hardcover. There is a value of the book, right? So mine's 15 bucks paperback, 20-ish bucks hardcover. So there's a perceived value to the person. So when you hand them the book, it has that innate value of like, oh, this is like $15, $20 plus the knowledge value, plus this was handed to me and signed by the author. So now the perceived value doubles as a $50 book I'll never get rid of.
Right.
Do you want to know the crazy part? My cost for a paperback book, $2.35. I need people to hear that. My cost for a paperback book, $2.35. I don't have a branded mug on me, but we could use the coffee cup, right? We all have, and I still do it. I have a hat with my brand on it. I have a shirt with my brand on it. We use branded apparel, branded swag, branded everything. It's really hard, and I've yet to find anything else that for $2.35 I can put my brand on that has the same level of impact and long-term stickiness as a book. Because at an event, no one throws a book away. The book ends up in the purse. I see it all the time. They'll have their goodie bag with all the flyers and crap, which is going to go in the hotel bed. They're going to vet through it. None of that's making it home. What happens when I hand them a book, especially a signed one, is it ends up in their purse or their laptop bag. It goes into a separate section. So I'm taking up real estate in a prized place. So cost to perceive value, instant win. You're already winning because you're giving them actual tangible value that actually didn't cost you a lot. The other side of it is the pictures, the social, the follow-up. Where I find the most value once I've given my book to people is in the follow-up meeting. So I always am trying to capture their contact data at an event. Hey, let me get your info so we can follow up with you. So I want to get their info. Now, I do follow up and I schedule meetings. And what happens all the time, and you probably have this happen too, is they will hold my book up and go, Devin, I read it last night because my book takes like 90 minutes. Like, this is not a big ask. And they'll be like, can we talk about chapter 5? Like, yeah. What did you want to talk about? Because one, I don't even remember what chapter 5 is. So give me a second. Right? But then you go to chapter 5 and they're like, oh, booking meetings. I use the language that I booked a meeting, but now I'm struggling with how to do. Okay, great. Like, we are so deep into the conversation the second it happens. So there's some nuggets, but yes, you're not here to sell 1 million copies. You're here to give away thousands of copies so that your brand is taking up real estate in people's desks, bookshelves, office, nightstands, backpacks, wherever. Because when they need you, you'll be the person they remember.
Wait. We're not just going to listen to this episode. There are downloads, there are resources, there are links, there are bonuses waiting for you on this episode's page when you go over to doitmarketing.com/podcast. That's right, doitmarketing.com/podcast. Grab the notes right under this episode. See you over there. This may be getting lost in the weeds a little bit. Maybe only the authors who are listening, who have already written a book, would appreciate this point. But I buy books. I buy a lot of books. Like, you should see my Amazon bill. It's crazy. I bought your book before I met you. And then when I met you, you gave me a signed copy of the book. And it's like, well, here's what I did. Guess what? My copy is now the signed copy. I took my lightly read copy. It wasn't abused, or, it's still in pretty good shape. I gave that to a friend. Now, people say, oh, won't people get pissed if they already spent 15, 20 bucks? They show up at one of your speaking events and you're giving the books away like candy. It's like, no, they'll be grateful. They'll be appreciative. And, people tend to value something that they paid for. So I think, not that they don't value the free book. Of course, they value the free book also. But the fact that they invested money, right? That means, okay, now they have some skin in the game. They're probably going to read the book even before they meet you, before they come to that event. And then you're so generous that you're giving the books away. They're like, oh my God, I know exactly who to give this to. And with your topic and your book, it's like, well, doesn't get better than that. You're going to give that to a connection of yours, aren't you? And so there you go. That's kind of a full circle experience about the book. For folks that want to write a book, one of the fears, and I think you've done this bravely and boldly, one of the fears is, if I put my entire methodology, my training, my scripts, my whole system into this book, well, people won't hire me. That I've just made myself obsolete. After writing 3 books, I can tell you that's completely not true. But what do you say to that author who's like, well, Devin, I don't want to give away the secret sauce because that's what I get paid for? What do you say to that person?
Yeah. Is your ideal client the DIYer who's not going to invest money? Let's just let that sit there. Is that your ideal client? Like, if I could reach through the camera or through your phone and slap you, hopefully that's what just happened. That's not who you're targeting. And I was blessed that in my very first company, I had a mentor who said, give away it all. Because the person that's sitting there learning about social media marketing in the audience or SEO or directory and taking notes so they can go home and implement it themselves is never going to spend money with you. Or what's going to happen is they're going to go on that journey themselves and they're going to come to the moment where they go, holy crap, this is not my expertise. I do not want to do this and I need help. And now they understand clearly why they need help. So it's an even easier close. Devin, I tried, I implemented, love the process, don't want to do that. Too much time, too much investment. I'm in. Where the heck do I pay? Totally different sales meeting, right? Yeah. So give it all away. It's crazy. I was on a meeting yesterday and I pulled up, I said, they're like, did I just hear that your masterclass is available in your school community for free? I'm like, yeah, let me pull it up. Literally, full presentation, overview of the system, connection expansion system, the GPT for introductions, the GPT for the connection expansion exercise, all the email templates we use, all for free. And people are like, well, why would you do that? Because if you're the person that's going to digest that and fully implement it yourself and you don't need anything else from me, I'm so blessed that I got to empower you and go do good in the world. And what'll happen is a fraction of those people are going to raise their hand and go, Devin, I love it. I'll use the language, but I don't want to do the connections help. Or, hey, I need to book a session because I want to figure out how we could do this better. So give it all away, lead with value. You don't want those DIYers that don't want to spend money anyways.
Now, you also have a fantastic podcast, which I've had the privilege of being on. Talk about how the podcast kind of feeds in to all of this, the book, the system, the coaching, everything.
What's fun is I started the expert interviews a decade ago, like 10 years ago, I think was the first one. And it was fascinating because I started it just to feature some of my friends. Like, let's just get on, record content so that you and I can be lazy. We can spend an hour invested together, but have a ton of content we can repurpose. Yeah. So really it started because I'm lazy and wanted to take long form content and shorten it up. But what I started to find is I got to geek out and meet the most amazing people and have the most amazing conversations. And I get to ask them all the questions because I'm the host. And then we get to use that content to borrow authority or borrow trust inside of each other's networks, right? You get to borrow my authority and trust and be like, Devin interviewed me. We featured, it was great. I get to borrow your authority and trust, go like, David's amazing. This is what we did. And so it creates the ability for you to go to that second and third degree connections inside your network and go deeper instantly. The other reason it's just like giving away a book is, hey, I'd love to have you on my podcast, or I'd love to interview you for an expert interview. Let's get you on the calendar. Instantly perceive value. You've instantly given them value. And then when my team is really good at following up, so they will follow up with you. We post really quick. So within like 2 to 3 days, you are going to get the edited version and snippets. It's all in your inbox. It comes to you. And now not only are you stoked that we created content, you have these tangible assets you can use. Whether you actually use them, that's a you problem. It's such a value leading proposition. So if you're not creating content, doing short form, long form, gated interviews, whatever it is, invite people into your world, create content together. We all need to conquer social media. So let's do it together.
Amen. I love that so much. As we're landing the plane, I'm going to ask you, second question I'm going to ask you is, how can people get connected and stay connected to more Devin Sizemore brilliance? But even before we get there, if folks were to take one overarching idea from everything that we talked about today, about connection building, about the non-sales, sales approach and technique, the zero pressure, negative pressure, sales methodology that you so brilliantly lined up, the giving versus the taking that we talked about, anything, what big picture overall takeaway would you like to leave with folks?
I want to leave some messaging, and because this is the quick action. So I want you to commit to reaching out to X number of people in your network per day that you're working. 3, 4, 5. 5 is a good number. And I want you to send them this email. The subject line is checking in. How are you doing? ? The email says, hey, David, I hope you're doing well and having a great day. It's been a while since we last connected. Anything new and exciting in your world? Any new challenges? The next sentence you adjust. If you want to book meetings, you use one sentence. If you're just checking in, use another. So if you need to fill your calendar, you could say, it's been a while since we caught up. Would love to catch up. Here's a link to my calendar. If you don't want to book meetings because you're busy traveling, life is chaotic, great. Then you just say, I look forward to hearing back from you, or please let me know who I can connect you with. I look forward to hearing back from you. Send that email to 5 people, assign a task to send it again in 6 to 9 weeks. Just start there. You will be amazed at the responses you receive and what it starts to do to your network when you have these direct personal touches.
So good. So good. Gold right there. So, in the show notes, where can we send people? What resources, assets, links? How can people get more Devin Sizemore in their lives?
Yeah, so Connection Expansion book is on Amazon, all formats, and an audiobook. If you want to listen to me talk for another hour and 54 minutes, you could do that. You could also go to my website, devinsizemore.com, DEV with an IN, sizemore.com. On there, you'll see a link to ACES Connection Society. You'll see a link to the book. You can download a free copy if you'd like. There's also some book resources. Everything and anything is linked on the website, so start there. If you want to connect with me, email's the best, contact forms, or any social platform, DP Sizemore. I'm available. Raise your hand, say hi. Would love to connect with you.
Fantastic. And all of those links will be in the show notes directly under this episode at thesellingshow.com. Devin Sizemore, you are a rock star. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for making connections less scary, way more fun, and way more profitable.
Thank you so much. Always enjoy our conversations, and excited for people to raise their hand because we drove more value into the world.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.